Imagine for a moment that you are not looking at a painting. Imagine that the painting is looking at you, not from a wall, not from a museum, but from a distant time when art was not meant to be beautiful, but true. Before you stands one of the oldest, most powerful, and most unsettling images ever created by humankind. Christ It is not merely a representation of Jesus. It is a theological declaration, a visual manifesto, a spiritual mirror, and for many, a silent warning. This painting was created around the 6th century AD, during an extremely turbulent period. The Byzantine Empire was struggling to preserve the Christian faith, while the ancient world was collapsing. Museums did not exist. The concept of art as we understand it today did not exist. Every image had a spiritual function, almost sacred. Christ's Pantocrator was painted as an icon, not as a portrait. In the Byzantine tradition, an icon is not created, it is revealed. The artist does not express creativity. He erases himself so that the image may transmit what is eternal. That is why the author of this work is officially unknown. There is no signature, no name, and this is not a historical gap, it is an intention. The painter did not want to be remembered, he wanted to disappear. In the Byzantine worldview, signing a sacred image would have been an act of pride. The merit did not belong to man, but to God. And so, this work reaches us without an author, as if it had always existed, as if it did not belong to human time. Today, the icon is preserved at the monastery of St. Catherine, at the foot of Mount Sinai, one of the oldest continuously active Christian monasteries in the world. Its location is no coincidence. Mount Sinai is the place where, according to biblical tradition, Moses received the 10 Commandments. It is a point of encounter between the human and the divine. That this image has survived there for more than 1400 years is, in itself, extraordinary. It survived fires, wars, looting, the passage of time, and above all, the Byzantine iconoclasm, a period during which thousands of sacred images were destroyed for being considered idol. Christ's Pantocrator was spared, possibly due to the geographic isolation of the monastery. While other images were erased from the world, this one remained in silence, waiting. Now let us look at the painting itself. Christ appears frontally, looking directly at you. There is no landscape, no narrative context. He is not crucified nor surrounded by disciples. He is alone. His face is the absolute center of the composition. There are no distractions here. Everything leads to his eyes, and it is precisely in the face where the deepest mystery begins. If you observe closely, you will notice something unsettling. The face is not symmetrical. The right side, from the viewer's perspective, shows a severe, firm Christ with a larger, more penetrating eye. The left side is softer, more human, more compassionate. This asymmetry is not a technical mistake. It is deliberate. The icon represents the dual nature of Christ, judge and savior, divine and human, justice and mercy. One side watches you with authority, the other with understanding. It is an image that does not allow a single interpretation. Depending on how you look at it, Christ changes. And that is the point. The painting does not change. You do. The gesture of the right hand is also crucial. Christ is blessing, but not in just any way. The fingers are positioned according to a precise symbolism. They form the letters ICXC, the Greek abbreviation for Jesus Christ. This blessing is not emotional or spontaneous. It is doctrinal. It is a blessing that affirms identity, not merely comfort. In his left hand, Christ holds a richly decorated book. This book represents the gospel, the divine word, the eternal law. It is closed. That is important. A closed book symbolizes mystery knowledge that is not easily given, truth that requires spiritual preparation to be understood. Christ is not teaching at that moment. He is waiting. The golden background is not decoration. In Byzantine art, gold does not represent wealth, but eternity. It is not a physical space. It is a spiritual dimension. Christ is not in a place. He is outside of time. Gold eliminates depth and shadow because in eternity there is no passage of the sun, no change of light. The halo around his head is not merely a symbol of holiness. It contains a cross, and, within it, Greek letters that mean the one who is it. It is the same phrase God uses in the Old Testament when revealing himself to Moses. With this, the icon makes a radical statement for its time. Jesus is not just a prophet, he is God. Now let us consider the psychological impact of this image. He does not smile, he does not comfort, he does not seek to please. He observes you. Christ's Pantocrator was not created to soothe, but to confront, to remind the believer that they are being seen, that their life carries weight, that their decisions matter. It is an image that imposes silence. Many scholars have pointed out that this icon functions almost like a moral mirror. Whoever looks at it projects their inner state onto it. For some, the face transmits peace. For others, unease. For others, judgment. The icon does not tell you who Christ is. It reveals who you are before him. There are also hidden meanings in the technique. The style is rigid, anti-naturalistic, because the goal is not to imitate the physical world, but to transcend it. There is no realistic perspective, no modern sense of volume. Everything is calculated to avoid illusion and direct the mind toward the spiritual. Even the colors are intentional. The dark outer garment represents humanity. The lighter inner tunic represents divinity. The painting does not separate these aspects. It layers them. Theology is taught without words. This icon became the foundational model for nearly all later representations of Christ in both Eastern and Western art. For centuries, artists copied this image not to innovate, but to preserve its message. To change it would have been to alter the truth. Christ's Pantocrator is not a work meant to be understood quickly. It is an image meant to be contemplated. It does not impose itself through drama, but through presence. It does not shout. It does not seduce. It remains. And perhaps that is its deepest message. In a world that changes, that distracts itself, that forgets, there are truths that simply remain, waiting for someone to look at them again with attention. This painting does not seek likes. It does not seek fame. It does not seek applause. It has survived centuries without needing anything from us. The question is not what this image means. The question is, what does it mean for you to stand before it? Because once you truly look at it, it is no longer just a painting. It is an experience, and not everyone is prepared to hold that gaze. And this is where the work becomes even more unsettling, because Christ's Pantocrator was not created only to be looked at in silence, but to accompany the daily life of the believer. This icon was not meant for a gallery or a display case. It was intended for daily prayer, to be seen again and again, over years, even over an entire lifetime. In the Byzantine tradition, the icon does not change, but the person who contemplates it does. Each time someone stood before this image, they arrived with different burdens, different guilt, different fears, and the face remained there, immutable. Watching that is why many art historians and theologians agree on something fundamental. This painting does not represent a historical moment. It represents an eternal state. Christ is not acting. He is not speaking. He is not walking. He is being. He is the Christ who exists outside of time. The one who was, who is, and who will be. The Pantocrator does not tell a story. It affirms a truth. The word Pantocrator comes from Greek and means the ruler of all, the sovereign of the universe. It is not a gentle title. It is not affectionate. It is an assertion of absolute power. And yet, that power is not expressed through violence or exaggerated gestures. It is expressed through calm, through stillness, through a gaze that does not need to move to impose presence. That stillness is intentional. In the Byzantine world, true power was not the one that shouted, but the one that remained firm. Now think again about the historical context. 6th century, the Western Roman Empire had already fallen. The world was full of uncertainty, wars, invasions, constant political change. People lived in fear of chaos, collapse, the end of the known order. In that context, this image functioned as a visual affirmation of cosmic stability. Everything may fall, everything may change, but Christ reigns. The universe still has a center dot, and that center is watching you. One of the least mentioned yet most profound aspects of this icon is the direct relationship it establishes between the image and the viewer. In ancient art, many figures look elsewhere, interact with each other, participate in a scene. Not here. Christ looks straight at you. There is no mediation, no narrative distance. It is a direct encounter, and that encounter can be uncomfortable. Psychologically, this has a powerful effect. Human beings are not accustomed to being watched without interruption. A sustained gaze confronts us. It strips us bare. It forces us to recognize ourselves. That is why this image can produce unease, not because it is aggressive, but because it is honest. There are studies suggesting that the icon was deliberately designed to create this sensation of spiritual vigilance, not as external control, but as internal conscience. It is not fear of punishment, but responsibility. living as if you were always being seen by truth itself. The visible deterioration of the painting also plays an important role in its contemporary reading. The cracks, the wear, the damaged areas do not weaken the work. On the contrary, they strengthen it. They remind us that this image has passed through centuries, hands, prayers, tears, conflicts. Every mark is a witness of time. Christ's face remains recognizable even as the material decays. It is a visual metaphor for what the work seeks to communicate. The spiritual endures when the physical breaks down. Another fascinating detail is the way the eyes seem to follow you. This effect is not accidental. It is achieved through a precise technique of frontal composition and partial symmetry. From almost any angle, the gaze maintains contact. This reinforces the sensation of constant presence. No matter where you stand, you cannot escape that observation. In Eastern Christian tradition, it is believed that the icon does not merely represent Christ, but participates in his presence, not as a magical object, but as a point of encounter. That is why it is kissed, illuminated with candles, prayed before. The icon does not replace God, but directs the mind toward him. It is a window, not an idol. And here we encounter a key difference with later Western art. While the Renaissance sought to humanize Christ, to make him emotional, close, even vulnerable, Byzantine art sought the opposite, to show his transcendence. This is not the Christ of human suffering. It is the Christ of cosmic order. He does not cry. He does not shout. He does not beg. He observes. That does not make him cold. It makes him absolute. The fact that the book is closed has also been interpreted as a warning. Knowledge exists, but it is not given not everything is revealed without preparation. Truth demands silence, attention, and inner readiness. The icon does not teach with words because not everyone is ready to hear them. Even the posture of the body is symbolic. There is no unnecessary movement, no drama. Everything is contained. Containment is a form of power. In a world that constantly reacts, Christ Pantocrator simply is. Over the centuries, this image influenced not only religious art, but also the way the West imagined authority, justice, and the sacred. The idea of a judge who observes, who knows, who does not need to explain himself, has deep roots in this type of representation. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of all is this. The icon does not age emotionally. Although it was created more than 1400 years ago, it still provokes intense reactions today. It still imposes silence. In an era of fast images and constant stimulation, this painting demands something radical. To stop. To look at it is an act of resistance against distraction, and perhaps that is why it remains relevant, because it does not adapt to the modern viewer. It does not try to please. It does not try to simplify itself. It remains faithful to its original purpose. Even as the world has changed, in the end, Christ Pantocrator does not offer easy answers. It does not promise success, immediate happiness, or automatic comfort. It offers something more difficult, a gaze that reminds you that your life has meaning, that your actions matter, that silence also speaks. This painting was not created to be understood in 5 minutes. It was created to accompany an entire life, to be looked at when everything is going well and when everything is falling apart, to be there when words are no longer enough. And perhaps that is its greatest strength. In a world that never stops changing, Christ Pantocrator is still there, watching, waiting, not to judge you immediately, but to remind you that you are standing before something greater than yourself. And once you understand that, you never look at this image the same way again.